So what is up, pimps, hoes and buffaloes? I am back here today with another video, and my exams are all done. Freedom is now upon me, so I thought I'd bring you guys today a commentary that I feel passionate about, something that I've been wanting to speak about ever since it began, and that is going to be Euro 2012. I want to let you guys know, if you're not interested in football, this probably isn't the video for you. And of course, this channel is based on Call of Duty, and the majority of you are subscribed to me solely for Call of Duty stuff, and I do apologise for that. There will be plenty more of that to come. I just really wanted to make this commentary today on the day of the first quarter-final of this tournament, because I think, you know, football's a big passion of mine, and I can give my inside opinion into how I think the rest of the tournament and what's gone on so far, how it's going to fare. And, you know, just to really say how much of a decent tournament it's been in terms of, you know, the World Cup in 2010 for me was a bit of a letdown in terms of the quality of football. I think every team played to not lose, which sort of made it a little bit boring, and it counteracted each other in negative ways, so to speak. But in this tournament, there's been goals, there's been flowing football, and there's been shocks as well, which is what makes it, in my opinion. And we'll start off with the first of the quarterfinals, which to me is a little bit of a shock in itself. Czech Republic versus Portugal. We'll start off with the Czechs. After losing 4-1 to the Russians in the opening game, I really didn't see a way back for them in Group A, and the fact they come back to win it really does show a strength in character within the Czech Republic side. Obviously, they've got a world-class goalkeeper in Czech, which really makes the spine of the side after coming back to beat the Greeks and the Poles in the remaining two games. Of course, they will not be an easy team to beat, but I think the Portuguese, the way they've played in this tournament, have really impressed me. I didn't personally think they'd get out of the group. I thought the Dutch and the Germans definitely haven't surprised me, but the Dutch really did. I thought Holland were going to be right up there with Germany and winning that group. But obviously Portugal, to be able to beat those sides, they were close to beating the Germans. They had chances in that game. Personally, I think they deserved a point out of it, but obviously the Germans were too strong in the end. But to come back, beat Denmark late on, and to beat the Dutch as well, I think Portugal are going to have way too much going forward for the Czechs, and obviously I don't really think the Czechs have that sort of potency going forward in a way. So I think Portugal will snatch this one. I think it will be 1 or 2-0, maybe even 3 if Ronaldo's on his game. Ronaldo really did impress me in that last fixture against the Dutch. I think he'll play a big role in this quarterfinal tonight. So my prediction for the first quarterfinal is going to be Portugal going through, and I'm going to say 2-0 winners. And on to the second quarterfinal, which is played tomorrow in Gdansk. Germany versus Greece. For me, this is an absolute no-brainer. The Germans, for me, have been the strongest side throughout this tournament. I mean, they were in the group of death. To come out with 9 points out of a possible 9, it really does show the strength in character, the strength and quality within that side. I think Mario Gomez will have a big say in the rest of this tournament. I think whether or not he's firing on all cylinders. My voice cracked again, I apologise, I'm getting into it once again. If Mario Gomez has a good knockout stage, I think the Germans will go on to win it, and we'll get on to, you know, the future of the tournament, semi-finals and final in a minute. And obviously England as well. I'll spend a bit more time talking about England in their Sunday game. But who else have we got? Greece, well, to me, I didn't really think they deserved to be there. Obviously they got a great result against the Russians to beat them 1-0. The Russians, for me, were the team to beat in Group A ever since that opening 4-1 victory against the Czech Republic. But for me, I think Greece are going to be completely outplayed, and I think the Germans could go on and win it by 2 or 3 goals. I know Greece have got a solid defensive line, and they always seem to pull out the good defensive displays. But I think the likes of Ozil, the likes of Schweinsteiger, Podolski, if he plays, is a good asset to the Germans, especially Gomez as well. I think the Germans are going to have way too much for Greece, and I can see them coming out 3-0 winners and progressing into the semi-finals as well. And for the semi-final on, what day is it today? Thursday, so Saturday, Spain versus France. For me, this is going to be a close game. I thought the Spanish were going to steamroll the Italians in the opening game of Group C, and I was wrong. The Italians stepped up to the plate. They played a strong game, but for me, Spain aren't really showing that attacking potency going forward that they were in the last 2 major tournaments. I know they beat the Republic of Ireland 4-0. That was reminiscent of those days back in 2008 when Torres scored the winning goal in the final, and the World Cup in 2010. But for me, I think this French side have progressed since then. I know they did lose to the Swedes 2-0 in the final game in Group D, but honestly for me, I think France, if they can keep, you know, the standardised French way of playing and the fluency of French football, I think they could give Spain a really good game. But I can see Spain winning this one in extra time. I think it will be 1-1 in normal time. I think Benzema will have a big say in this game. He's a fantastic striker in my opinion. I do really highly rate him. But I think the Spanish will come through in extra time 2-1, and I think it'll be a game for the forwards. If the forwards can play and the forwards can, you know, live up to the standards we used to. Benzema's club form has been good. Torres has started the tournament well. If he can carry on that into this semi-quarterfinal, I think the Spanish will end up progressing. And as for the final quarterfinal, Italy versus England, and of course most of you guys will be interested to see what I think about England for the rest of this tournament and the way I've looked at England for most of it so far. I think this game is going to be a good game. I think the Italians for me have surprised me. I didn't really think they offered that much on paper going into the tournament. I didn't even see them coming out of their group, if I'm honest. I thought the Croats, after their opening game against Republic of Ireland, I thought they were playing well. I thought it was going to be for them and Spain to take this group, but the Italians surprised me as well. That 1-1 draw against the Spanish was a good result. Di Natale, good player, good experience going forward. And for me, if the Italians want to get anything out of this game, my advice to them is, I know they're never going to listen to me, but my opinion is, play with the two strikers. Stick Balotelli up there with Di Natale. Balotelli knows the English game. He's been playing against Premier League defenders, Premier League players, pretty much the entire England squad all season long. Di Natale as well. That experience in there could be vital for the Italians, and the likes of Pirlo as well, who for me has been one of the players of the tournament so far. Obviously, he may be overlooked with age at the moment, and in recent times he signed for Juventus, left Milan, but for me Pirlo has been fantastic, and I think he will be key if the Italians to get anything out of the game. And now on to England. Personally, I think England could shade this one in extra time. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think both defences have been good despite conceding 2 goals against the Swedes and also conceding that goal against France. I think England's defences look solid. I think Glenn Johnson's played well. Ashley Cole, the 2 fullbacks, have played well. And John Terry as well. What a clearance that was against Ukraine. I know it was over the line, but to be honest, his determination to get back and try to stop it. For me, he still is one of the best centre-backs in the world. And of course, you may see that as a biased opinion, as I'm a Chelsea fan. But for me, no one can deny the raw talent and ability John Terry has. And I think he will play a big part. Despite not being captain, he's still a big leader at the back. And in these big games, these big knockout games, you need your big players to step up. And I think the likes of Gerrard, Rooney, Terry, they're going to have a big say for England in this match. And hopefully, in my opinion, I think they should play with Andy Carroll. I think he offers so much more. Welbeck's a good player, but for me, when Carroll plays, the link up with Gerrard is good. I think Rooney then can have a bit more of a free role around the forward area, and I think that could probably be the best way for England to come up against this experienced Italian side, in my opinion. But obviously Welbeck, you can't deny his raw ability, his talent, but for me, it's got to be Carroll up front for England if they're going to progress in this game. I probably am going to be wrong, guys, of course. I could get all of these predictions wrong. This is knockout football. Anything can happen. As we've seen in the Champions League this season, I'm going to use them as an example again. But Chelsea, against all the odds, they beat Napoli, they came back. Benfica, obviously a good result to get through there, tricky tie. Barcelona, phenomenal. They completely outplayed us over 2 legs, but the fact we came back to win it, it just shows that anything can happen in football, and knockout football especially. So that is my predictions for the quarterfinals, which would see the semi-finals being Portugal versus Spain and Germany versus England. And of course you're watching Germany versus England on this screen now. You guys will eventually see what comes in the end of this. I was playing against them on Legendary, so I can't make any promises as to what was going to happen. But for me, we'll start off with Portugal, Spain. I think the Spanish will have too much for them. That major tournament experience at the moment for Spain. They're used to winning games. They're used to winning these big matches, and I think they will just overshadow Portugal a little bit. I think the Portuguese, for me, they'll give them a good game if this is what's going to happen. But for me, I think Spain will edge it, say 1 or 2-0, maybe even 2-1. You cannot overlook Portugal's ability going forward, the likes of Nani and Ronaldo. But for me, Spain will be there in the final, and I also think England's run will end in the semis. If they come up against the Germans, I think the Germans now are a complete side. We saw them in 2008 challenging in the final, and in the World Cup they looked like a decent team as well. But I think now those players that were young back then, the likes of Ozil, the likes of Khedira, obviously we've got Götze and Kroos coming through in that side as well, 2 really highly rated players in my opinion. And I just think the Germans will have too much for England if that is what's going to be in the semi-finals. I think the Germans will progress, and eventually I think it will be Germany versus Spain in the final, and my prediction for that would be the Germans to win the tournament, guys. So if you're going to put any bets on and you want to listen to Buffalo, go stick them on Germany. I think they're the best bet for the tournament so far. Obviously you can't overlook any of the other teams, but for me that's the way it is, guys. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video today, talking about something a little bit different. And those of you who are football fans out there, retweet this to your friends. We can have a little bit of a debate in the comment section and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, guys, I've got a plane to catch. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and my voice only cracked once, so it's a score. I'll be out, guys. Cheers. Peace.